Yeah, next speaker is going to talk about cyber threat intelligence. And he says data is very important, but the real power, what is the real power of a security team? That is the human factor. Marcus Auer is CTI advisor and regional manager at ThreatQuotient. Marcus, welcome to the show. Good to see you. I don't know if we have sound on. I guess your microphone is off still. I don't know. Some break music.
Marcus, your mic.
Yeah, Marcus, your mic. Does he hear us?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're there.
Can you
huh?
hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Can you hear me? Okay, sorry, technology.
No, this is we're used to it since COVID. This is almost the second sentence I every time say at a conference call, so no worries about that. So to our viewers at home, if you have any questions, send them through the Buzzmaster system. And Marcus, so just to kick it off, how are things in Germany related to COVID-19? Because in our spectrum, you just became orange today.
Yeah, it's not looking good. So we just started another partially lockdown this week, and actually I was trying to be there in person to join you guys in person, but it just didn't work out. So yeah, so we need to see how the lockdown works out. Hopefully, well, so we can get back to whatever normal means by the beginning of December.
Yes, well, let's hope that. It seems that there's a confusion about the term cyber threat intelligence. What is cyber threat intelligence from your perspective?
Yeah, that's a great question to start. So what we are seeing when I talk to security professionals and companies, they see cyber threat intelligence, CTI, as data, right? As indicators, IUCs, IP addresses, hash values, URLs, etc., etc. It's absolutely true. So data is the foundation of threat intelligence. But what we are seeing is that sometimes companies are missing out the threefold approach that you guys already talked about in the security operations space, like people, processes, technology. So when they start looking at cyber threat intelligence, I'm just going to share one slide to emphasize on that. When companies are bringing CTI in the game and see it as data, they automatically focus on technology. If they make technology the most important thing, right? And obviously, one of the major use cases is to take indicators and push them to internal tools like SIEM for detection. However, if you're just doing that, you are missing out the other two parts, and you're neglecting people and processes.
Okay. Could you elaborate on that a little bit more?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we are seeing is that if you see CTI as data, you don't get the full value out of it, right? And this is where company like the ThreatQuotient actually was founded. Our two founders, Wayne and Brian, they run one of the largest security operations center in the world at General Dynamics, and from their daily doing and their daily challenges in a SOC space, they saw that things can be better. And they founded the company not necessarily from a data perspective. Actually, ThreatQuotient, just to clarify, is we are not a data provider. We don't have data at all. We rely on other data sources, and I'm going to talk about that later on. But their approach was from a people and processes perspective. So their challenge was that a lot of work was done manually. A lot of the work was done redundant. They had challenges in communication between the teams. So information sharing was a big challenge. And that's why they said there must be something better. And that's why they started to create what we call a security operations platform.
All right. So, but help me here, Marcus. How, if you have that platform, how can you then enhance the collaboration within security teams?
Right. Absolutely. So the first thing what we need to do is, and I hope you can see my slide now, is we need to do a shift in thinking and not seeing CTI as data, but seeing CTI as a holistic practice that incorporates all the three pillars in the SOC space. And if you do that, suddenly you realize that not only technology is benefiting by great data and curated data and prioritized threat, but also processes where you can start automating things, where you can create workflows. People are be able to collaborate within the team. The information sharing gets much better. And how we're going to do that is, what do we need? We need that kind of platform, a security operations platform. Mm-hmm. And I'm very happy to quickly walk you through what our vision is. So let's start again with the technology. As I said, data is the foundation. We can't do anything in threat intelligence without data, obviously. So the first thing, what you need to do is you need to get threat data management right. And this is already where a lot of companies are struggling, is how do I get this data under control? Because if you're doing CTI professionally, you're not just using one data source. You will end up with multiple data sources composed of commercial providers, of sharing platforms, governments like the NCSC, open source, et cetera, So you're ending up with multiple data feeds and you can't control that. So the first thing what you need to do is you need to have a platform that is getting that threat data management right, okay? So you see the data comes in, so the platform must be obviously able to do the basic thing, ingest the data, normalize the data, deduplicate the data, aggregate the data. Uh-huh. And this should be done automatically, right? And this is where we're already taking load of the people by, they don't need to sift through indicators manually. This should be done automatically, right? The next thing, and this is very important, is the prioritization of threats, right? Because if you're using multiple data sources, a lot of the data will not be relevant to a specific company. Actually, in reality, we see that about 97 to 95% of the data is noise for a specific company. Right. So you must have a mechanism that automatically filters out the noise, highlights the relevant threat data, and then the next step in technology is obviously to connect to your tools, right? Whatever tool is benefiting from threat data, you can define to send this off, right? And this is where the technology process starts. Right.
So let me interrupt you there, Marcus, just for a second. Okay, you know the knowns. So because if you say, well, 79% is not relevant for your company, that is, of course, if you know what's relevant. But sometimes something new comes up in real life, COVID-19, and then, well, you only know when it's applicable to your business if you're already hit by it. So that's, I think, the problem, or not? How do you know it's relevant?
That's a great question. So there are a couple of factors you need to incorporate when you're trying to filter out the noise, which is, for example, your mission. In which vertical are you in? Your geography, but also your network itself, like what kind of vulnerabilities do you have in your network? If you're able to incorporate all these factors and correlate that against the threat data, it's very easy to filter out, relevant threats. Like there's an attacker group that specifically attacks companies in the financial industry. If that's the case, I'm already a potential target, so I'm going to focus on those. Now, to your question, just quickly, when new things arise, like COVID, for example, it's a great example, is I need to be able to quickly change and adopt to the current world. And that means on the one side, there's new data, right? During COVID, a lot of commercial and also sharing institutes focused on sharing indicators on COVID. So you must have a platform that can quickly ingest that data and make it operational for the technology.
Right.
Just to cover that.
Yeah, I get that. So, Bastiaan, maybe you have some questions here.
Yeah, to make it more easy, for example, if you don't have the Citrix, you are not vulnerable to a Citrix bug.
Right. So
this is also one part of filtering the data. If you're not running a hospital, you're not vulnerable to hospital attacks. So this automated filtering is helping us to make it from thousands of IOCs to just the numbers we need.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
And the important thing on that is you must be able to manually define that scoring matrix.
Yeah.
Because no one knows what's important for you, but just you, the customer, or obviously the partner Motiv, if they're doing managed services on this.
Marcus, do you provide the assessment on what data is relevant for the customer, or will they provide you with their own risk assessment? Do you expect them to provide you with their own risk assessment?
So was the question more on which data sources?
Well, not necessarily. As Ren said, how do you define what IOC or what threat is relevant?
Yeah.
So do you expect the customer to provide you with that data themselves or with that assessment themselves, or do you help them with creating a risk assessment?
Absolutely, absolutely. So obviously we will rely on the information that's coming out of the customer itself. And normally, when they are doing their internal risk assessment, and a company should do that in general, that's already information we can use in order to tune the scoring matrix. But we also provide consulting services. So one of our big pillars is to help companies exactly find out, does threat intelligence make sense for you? Where are you? What are your goals? And what do we need to achieve this goal? So the risk assessment can also be part of a consulting services from us.
Okay.
Yes.
So just a quick check on Jeroen. Do you have some kind of platform, cyber threat intelligence platform? Do you use that?
Well, no. I think you already need some level of maturity to use this kind of systems, because you already need to know which systems you have in your network,
right.
for example, to know which intel is interesting for you. So if I look inside my own hospital, hospitals have really a lot of amount of applications and hardware. So it's quite difficult to have a all overview on all your software and hardware.
Yeah,
so
right.
that's the first.
So this is what Bastiaan means with getting the basics right.
Exactly. Exactly.
This
is one of the basics.
Yeah, one of the basics. Yeah. Well,
this is one of the basic, and these types of tools are helping us as a security operations center. So it's not always the case that the customer itself is using these tools. No, we use these tools, for example, to consume the data from the National Cybersecurity Center, the NDN feed. And for example, when the NDN feed is coming into this platform, and there are also some true positives in, so it's actually happening in the Netherlands, this will definitely raise the bar that we have a high risk here.
Yeah.
So this is the example when one drinking water company is attacked and they have the true positive, then we need to be very active to other drinking water companies.
Right.
But it's helping us as a security operation.
Right, I get that. But the thing is, Marcus, if I am, let's say, a hospital or, I don't know, another facility, I should have my basics in order before I call you guys, I guess. Otherwise, you won't have the overview of what is going to be a threat or not.
Well, I would say. So what you need to have is you need to have a couple of technologies in place, right? Like a CM technology, for example. If you don't have a CM technology that can look for indicators in the log file, well, that's going to be hard. So you need to have a basic set of technologies. However, what we are providing is a platform that turns threat data into intelligence, right? And that means like what is threat data? A list of 1,000 bad IP addresses is not helpful, right? You need context. You need more information around that. Now, there's two ways to get that context. Is either you go to a vendor who's providing you the context, or you're doing the enrichment of data itself via that platform. And when you have the enrichment and you have context and attributes, then you would get the information. Well, this is an indicator that was seen in a campaign specifically in the healthcare industry. Yeah. And if you have that information, you can adjust the scoring matrix so the information would, so to say, bubble up from the noise, and then you can start working with that.
Okay, great.
Ja.
Marcus, thank you very much. Als mensen geïnteresseerd zijn, I'll see you back in a few minutes, Marcus. Als u geïnteresseerd bent, dames en heren, om hier nou meer van te weten, en ook van de vorige spreker, Amit Levy, als u daar nou geïnteresseerd bent om daar meer over te weten. We hebben roundtables, organiseren we. En deze twee heren zijn allebei op 1 december, 1st of December, geven zij een roundtable samen met Motiv. Dus als je hier helemaal in om wilt wentelen, Bastiaan, dan kan
als je
dat...
echt interesse hebt in het gebruik van deze platformen, dan zie je het even als een deep dive, waarbij we echt gaan inzoomen van hoe werkt dat dan precies en wat is de toegevoegde waarde voor het ziekenhuis of voor de klantomgeving.
Ja.
Dan is dat zeker aan te bevelen.